Good morning. Lovely sunrise over the mountaintop. The Prime Minister says one nation is divisive. He said that in response to the polling that shows one nation ahead of the coalition and not that far behind Labor. The Prime Minister, who has sown so much division into the fabric of Australian life over the last couple of years, calling anybody divisive, is just a little bit rich. But is it one nation and Pauline Hanson that are divisive? Or is it the issues that they've been talking about now for 30 years? Pauline, in 1996, in her maiden speech, was tagged as xenophobic and racist because of her attitudes to two things. Immigration, she said multiculturalism was a risk if we take in too many Asians. She said we risk being swamped by Asians. I think she was wrong because Asians were always going to be a good fit for Australia. We shared so many of the same ethics related to family, work, etc. But her wider point was about the potential dangers of multiculturalism. And the chickens have come home to roost, not only here, but around the world. It's a huge issue. And I don't think too many Australians would think that there aren't some people from some countries with some beliefs who aren't necessarily a good fit for Australia, and whose ideas and beliefs aren't necessarily compatible with the secular way of life that we have here in Australia. The other part of the criticism was her attitude to Aboriginal Australians. Her attitude fundamentally was that she wanted all people treated the same, that where there were problems, deal with them according to risk, not according to colour. More along the lines of Martin Luther King's judge people by the content of their character, not the colour of their skin. She was called racist. Now, you could agree or disagree with the policies, immigration, treatment of Aboriginals, but her fundamental points need to be understood as they were during the Voice referendum. The Prime Minister put up that always divisive referendum, and it was defeated soundly. And one of the reasons it was defeated soundly is because the critics of those who were going to vote no said they were being racist, when they weren't being racist at all. They simply wanted this to be one country where people were judged not by their colour, but by the content of their character. So it's interesting, isn't it? 30 years down the road, Pauline Hanson is still going strong. In fact, she's never been going stronger. She's authentic. You know what she stands for. You can then debate whether you agree with those points of view or not. Unlike the major parties who lie, they're never quite sure what they believe in, they're divided, and they take us for idiots. So it's going to be fascinating come next election. I love election nights, seeing how the whole wonder of democracy plays out. Now, it's a long time between now and then, and obviously much can happen. But I'm reminded of John Howard, who has since conceded that his very strong anti-One Nation, anti-Pauline Hanson attitude back then was largely driven by his concern that they were a threat politically. And of course they were. Well, 30 years later, 22%, coalition 21%. They're still a threat. Have a great day.